Today we're going to be talking with Sherry Boddie. Sherry is an author of 3 books that she was inspired to do by her children. And I get her to explain more in detail what I mean when I say that. Let's see if we can get Sherry on the phone.
Hey, Calvin.
Hey, Sherry, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Magnificent. I'm close by you, and I actually want to pick you up to drive while black with me. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Looking forward to it.
I'll see you shortly.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
She sounds excited. Let's go get Sherry. Welcome. How are you, Sherry Boddie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am magnificent. You heard I said your name right.
Yes.
You know, for years I've been saying
Boddie.
and
I never thought to correct because
well,
I'm just used to it.
you should correct because, you know, me personally, I hate, you know, my name is Kelvin and I get Calvin, Kevin, and Melvin.
Yeah, and I thought about it. It's not that it's a serious thing. It just, to me, it is what it is. But I hear what you're saying. But
Yeah.
to me, it just
Yeah, don't even waste the
I don't
energy.
even do that.
How are you? Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And introduce yourself. I said, you know, your accomplishments, but I didn't go into detail as well as you can. So I would like for you to do that.
Oh, well, like you said, my name is Sherry Boddie, and I am a children's book author. And I also co-own a business, L Accessories, with my mother and my sister.
Hi, Ma.
Hey, Ma. Hey, Ella. And so L Accessories is the brainchild of my mom. My mother's always been an entrepreneur as long as I can remember.
Right.
But her latest venture was something called a wrap, which she created when my sister was in middle school as a way for girls, when it's that awkward time when you're growing up.
Right.
It's just a simple thing that you can wrap around you to kind of conceal your bottom area.
Right.
But then she kind of expanded it, and now she has a terry cloth line that women use when they exercise, and you can put your keys in it, and then she has one that you can take to the beach. So it's really convenient.
And I remember those because that's actually how I met your mother.
Really?
Yes, when she first was doing, she came in to get an advertisement from me when she was first doing
That's
the
right.
first. That's how I met her. That's how I met her.
So she's still
Years
working
ago.
on that. Yeah, that was years ago.
That was some years ago.
She still works on that.
Right.
But then it kind of grew. So I'm blessed that my mother watches my children for me.
Right.
And one day she was trying to put them to bed because my kids are very rowdy. And God just sat it upon her heart to create these characters, Pray Pals. And the first character was Blessed Ben. And he had a big afro, and of course he had chocolate skin.
Right.
He needed to be in the image of us,
Right.
which is important.
Right.
And because I have twins, she created Amen Amy. So Pray Pals was birthed out of trying to get the kids settled in for bed. And I had already had my first book, Curly's Fun with Bubbles. So she and I kind of just collaborated and said, you know what? We'll just put everything under one umbrella. So that's how we created this family business. So she does the Pray Pals, and we have a coloring and activity book. And I do my children's books, which are all based on real life experiences that I go through with my kids.
Now go back and say more, because you said you had already had Curly's Fun with Bubbles.
I had already had Curly's Fun with Bubbles.
Yeah, what is Curly's Fun with Bubbles?
Curly's Fun with Bubbles that's my baby. And I'll take it back a little bit.
Yes, please do.
So my very first book I wrote in it was either 1985 or 1986.
What?
Yes. And my mother saved it.
Wow.
And I still remember that whole experience.
Right.
And I feel like that set a seed in what inspired me to always want to write a book. So fast forward 2005, I remember I sent my first email to my aunt because she's an artist. And I said, well, I have this idea. I want to write this book. Would you illustrate it for me? And she said yes. But at the time I was young and I really didn't have like any inspiration. I didn't know what I wanted to write about. I just knew I wanted to write a book.
I understand.
So in 2011, I had my first child. I had Julian.
Right.
And in 2012, we took him to the state fair. And his dad bought him this little toy that shoots bubbles.
Right.
So when we got home, of course, I recorded it. And I remember maybe a few days later, I watched the video and God was like, you're going to write about bubbles. And literally the story just came. And that's how Curly's Fun with Bubbles came to life. And at that moment, I was like, I got to figure out how to do this because as a parent, I want to lead by example. Right. And I want to be able to say, hey, Julian, I always wanted to write a book. Right. And I put in the work and I did it. So initially, when I was going to publish the book, I wasn't even going to share it. I was just going to print one copy and have it for Julian, just like I said, to say, look what mommy did. So when I made that decision, I had to do research, and all I knew about were your typical publishing companies like your Penguins and Random House. And I couldn't go that route because I didn't have money to do that.
Yeah, I understand.
So some people told me about self-publishing. And that's how I found out about self-publishing, through word of mouth. And I did some research, and I was debating between two. Lulu, which is a local self-publishing company, and Create Space. I decided to go with Create Space because for me, I just felt like they had a better community for me to go out and learn what I needed to do, because again, I didn't have any money. So everything that I did, it had to be cost effective. They do have paid services, but I figured everything out myself. I learned what bleed meant. I learned what full illustration meant. I had to learn what margins meant.
So you self-taught yourself so that you can actually be active in the whole publishing experience.
And for me, putting in that, I'll say, blood, sweat, and tears, right? Because I would do something and I was like, well, this isn't right. I have to change this and reformat that. But putting in that work made me appreciate that accomplishment so much more, because this is my baby. I learned everything that I needed to do to publish this book, with the exception of the illustrations, because I can't even draw a stick figure.
I heard that.
But everything else I did. And I love telling that story because I like to inspire people and tell them, honestly, if I can do it, you can do it. And I've met so many people who have said, I've always wanted to write a book. Can you tell me about it? And I love sharing that story. And I've actually, talked to a couple people who have gone ahead after talking to me and published a book. So that's why this whole experience. I've inspired people. And what I appreciate about what you're doing and me being able to share the story is I feel like it's about nation building. It's about community building. Because even though I don't sell a lot of books, if I sell one or two, I love that. I don't sell a lot of books yet, but when I go online and I'm like, oh, somebody bought a book. It's a good feeling having that residual income. And like you said, when that yet comes, I'm leaving something to my kids and they can make money off of those books.
And I also, and I include something personal with me with this, is that, and I know you experience it, something else that's special about it is because it's something you birth. It's not a job, not saying anything's wrong with jobs or that, but when you create something and you have three people like, this is good enough to where I will invest money into it. There's nothing that can really erase that feeling or top that feeling.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
And you and I have had private conversations
Yes.
about this, but I finally admitted this to my dad because I feel like I'm very humble.
Right.
And I said to him, I said, Dad, you know what? I'm finally at a point in my life where I can say I'm proud of these books.
Right.
And this is what I love to do. And I want to work towards this being my career. Like, I appreciate what my job has done for me because
Right.
it's helped me get to where I am.
That's right.
But I can publicly say now, I love writing books, and that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to pursue. And I'm confident enough to say that. And it's not, I hope this doesn't come off cocky.
No.
But when I read my books,
speak your truth.
when I read my books,
Right.
I'm like, wow, I wrote this. This
Right.
is like, this is good. Like,
I understand.
and it's not, it makes me feel good.
Yes.
And it's not just because they're my kids, but they grab books that mommy wrote, and they're like, Mommy, can you read this?
Right.
And even though, like, the twins, they're only 4, they can't read, but they look at the pictures and they tell the story.
Yeah, and that's the beginning of learning to read.
Well, Julian, he makes me so proud, Kelvin.
Yeah, you know that's my guy. You know Julian, that's my guy.
He'll sit down at the table and he's like, Mommy, I'm going to write a book. He's written 2 books.
Wow. And how old is Julian now?
He is 6.
Now I want to touch on something that you said a few moments ago before I forget. There were 2 things that you said. You said that you wanted to lead by example, but then also when you were describing Curly's Fun with Bubbles, you said that they had chocolate skin. Those are actually like 2 comments that are intertwined together, you know, and I'm saying this to say, how important was it to you? Not just because they were your children, but to provide for other children that were black or had chocolate skin. Provide a book to where they could see themselves.
It was very important because I understand now as a parent more than ever that representation matters. And I've talked to people, and some people, I feel like they don't get it and they don't think that it's that deep. But as a mother, especially of a little girl, it really is important to have characters that look like them. I look at it like this. If this is deep.
Say it. Say it.
It's sad that we have to think like that, but it really is that deep. It's important for our kids to have characters that are positive,
Indeed.
that they can relate to.
Indeed.
If they can look at music videos and see the rappers with the nice cars,
That's right.
and the expensive jewelry.
That's right.
My thing was with Curly's Fun with Bubbles is something as simple as playing outside. And I know you can relate to this. When we were coming up, you played outside.
I don't know, you know, I don't even know if there's any children in my neighborhood anymore.
But isn't it sad?
Yeah.
But
Because I was outdoors. I was the child that my mother had to call me to come indoors, you know, and that was just, it was so regular that, you know, I was an outdoors child. I was constantly outdoors. So
if
for me to be in the neighborhood,
parents, if you were out,
right,
they told you what time to be home,
that's right,
and you
street
would
lights.
wait as
you know
long.
We all know the street light rule.
As you could,
That's right,
to go outside. So I guess the other point I was trying to make is I also missed that and wanted to show that in Curly's Fun with Bubbles, that you can have fun with the simple things.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong, my kids have video games and they have tablets and they have phones, but there needs to be a balance. They need to be able to go outside and play. They need to be able to...
It needs to all be incorporated as recreation and not replaced. Technology doesn't need to replace.
Exactly.
It needs to be included in recreation. I agree with that 100%.
And so that was the other thing that I wanted kids and parents to get out of Curly's Fun with Bubbles is that family vibe, because it is about a family, but also you can have fun with the simple things in life. And for our little kids, it's okay to do that. Like, you don't have to, I don't know, I feel like sometimes, and people probably aren't gonna like what I have to say, but it's not always about having like the fancy clothes and expensive sneakers.
Right.
That money, and nice clothes is important,
yeah,
right?
There's nothing wrong
but
with that.
you don't have, your kids don't need to be buying Jordan. Your kid don't need Jordans. That money, you can put that in the bank for them.
Right. Or you can, just some sort of investment or some sort of wiser decision or something that they can learn from versus fashion. Now, it's perfectly fine for you, especially if you can afford it.
Right.
To buy whatever you want to. You work for your money. But, however, I see exactly what you're saying. If we're raising children to be adults, then we can invest that money into something that will help them being adults versus being fly children.
Right. And I feel like that's what I've learned. I've learned a lot, but that was one of the things that I got out of this whole experience of writing books. Like I said, that residual income, yes, my goal is for it to grow, like you said.
Indeed.
And
that's what we get into business for.
Wealth building, right. So I want to be able to leave that legacy to my kids and have these conversations like you and I are having to make people aware that there are other ways. But like you said, if you can afford it, great. But if you can't, there are other ways, right?
And you shouldn't have to feel some sort of way, and your child shouldn't have to feel some sort of way because you can't afford it. They should be able to understand, mama can't afford it, but I'm still a smart child. I'm still a beautiful child. Most definitely.
Well, I just kind of piggybacking off of what you said. I remember when I was in middle school, and it's so funny when I think about this now, I had no idea what like name brand was.
Right.
And I remember I had to be in 8th grade. That's when I started to kind of understand, okay, there's this thing with like brands.
Right.
And my grandmother said she would buy me a pair of shoes. Calvin, I was excited about these brown and black LA Gear sneakers.
Oh, wow. LA Gear.
LA Gear.
Oh,
yes.
man. I had a couple of pairs. Yeah. You took it back.
Yep. So I know I kind of like went way off on, okay.
Go ahead. So, all right, so let me ask you this. You have 3 books, correct?
Yes.
Okay, could you name those? And actually, do you have copies of them?
I do. I have copies of my book, and so this is like an exclusive.
Yes.
I'm working on my 4th book. I am.
Well, at least you told me this time.
I'm excited.
Really? Can you say more about it, or do you not want to?
No, this one, because I have 3 kids.
Right.
So, as you guys know, Curly's Fun with Bubbles, that was my first. So that was about Julian, my oldest.
Right.
And then after I had the twins, I said, well, I can't have, and this is Curly's Fun with Bubbles. And there's his afro. And then this is the back, so that's Curly with his dog. And, I don't even think I said, so Curly's Fun with Bubbles is about a little boy who loves bubbles, and it just follows him throughout his day, making memories with his family and his friends blowing bubbles.
All right. And I've read that book, by the way.
And excellent. You have a copy.
Yes, I do. I have a signed copy.
A signed copy.
Yes, I do.
And then I have the twins. I had the twins. And I said, well, I can't have a book with just Julian, so I have to write one with all 3 kids.
You have to.
So that's how we came up with We Play to Stay Awake. And I'm not just saying this. This is the honest feedback that I've gotten. People love this book. It is hilarious.
It is.
Kids love it, and parents love it because they can relate. And that's the other thing I love about writing these books and having conversations with people is they're like, this is my life.
Right.
So it's comforting when you can talk to other people and you know you're not the only person going through something.
Right.
And when I say going through something, that is my 3rd book, which is about my little princess. And this is Mommy, You're Mean. And I decided to document this phase that my daughter was going through. And anyone that has dealt with children can relate to this. Whenever you tell them something and it's not something they want to hear, either you're mean or I'm not your friend. So I said, you know what?
You don't love me.
Right.
Yes.
And you know what's amazing is at 3 years old, my daughter knew how to play that game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow. I don't give you kids enough credit. You guys are really smart.
Listen,
they know how to manipulate.
Listen, 3 is 8 now.
It is.
3 is 8 years old now.
It is. The kids these days are smart. But yeah, so Mommy You're Mean is about Ellie's day getting ready for school, and every time her mom tells her to do something, she says, Mommy You're Mean. And my 4th book, I haven't settled on a title yet, but that one is about my son Armand. He's the middle child.
Yes.
And he loves music, he loves to sing, and my mother and my dad take him to church.
Right.
And he loves to sing in the children's choir.
Okay.
And one day it was children's church and they had to sing Calvin. You had to be there. It was like out of a movie. They had the kids lined up to walk down the aisle to the front of the church.
Right.
The way Armand had his chest poked out, he was so proud. And when they gave him that microphone, he sang that song.
You didn't record it?
That's I had the camera and didn't press record.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I know how that goes.
And I am kicking myself for that.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what, to make up for it, I will write a book. So that is my 4th book that I'm working on. And my illustrator, Victoria Pittman, she's actually local. And that's the amazing thing about technology. I've never met her. My mom has. But I send her pictures and I send her a rough draft of the story. And I kind of give her a little bit of what I want, but I kind of let her freestyle. And she'll do sketches and send them to me, and I'll say I like this or change that, and we do everything over email. And she sends it to me. And then my other illustrator who did Curly's Fun with Bubbles, and you guys will notice that the illustrator styles are different. But my other illustrator is Sarah, and she actually lives in Spain. I've never met her.
I remember you told me that. Yeah, she lives in Spain.
But again, I went into that blindly, and I know from my heart that everything that has happened up to this point was through divine inspiration, because I just saw Sarah's avatar on LinkedIn and I reached out to her, and she was really instrumental because I had gotten one of her books just to kind of see like what she does, and she walked me through, you know, that whole process. So if this was all during the time that you were still learning publishing and everything else, and you were she would ask me questions and I'm like, what is she talking about? So I would have to go and Google it or go to Create Space and find a form and find the answer. So but she was patient. And then there was that language barrier because her first language is Spanish. Yes. But we figured it out.
So what is the because I know that you just said that you wanted to write for a career. You wanted to do books for a career now, but without revealing any of your secrets or what you have, planned, what do you see in the long haul? Where would you like the whole Curly's Pray Pals corporation basically is what it is. Where would you like it to be?
I would love to go around and talk to, I don't even know if it has to be children specifically, but definitely kids, and let them know that it's okay to dream and figure out how to get resources to kids in inner cities. My parents were really young when they had me, so all I knew was I needed to go to college. Right. My passion when I was young was theater, and I had an uncle and he started his own theater company back in Providence, Rhode Island. It was the Providence Black Repertory Company. Wow. And so I had the opportunity to do a couple stage plays, and we even did shows in high school. So that was my first passion. But like I said, I knew I needed to go to college and pursuing acting, because I knew I didn't want to be like a famous celebrity, but I didn't know like I could go to college, study theater, and just do it so that I could sustain myself. Like I didn't know there were options. Like you can be an actress and work with the community. You don't have to strive to be a celebrity.
Right.
But I didn't know that. So I just knew I needed to go to college and study business.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, my mother and my grandmother were going to open a restaurant. So I decided to do that because it was safe.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
So I want to be able to encourage people and give them the tools and the resources and the motivation to pursue their dreams and let them know that it's possible. And to just set goals and have a plan. Everything happened in my life for a reason, so I'm not upset or bitter or angry that things ended up the way that they did. But I would love to grow it into motivational speaking where me and my mother can go around, because she has an amazing story too.
I know she does.
To motivate and help people to fulfill their dreams and pursue them.
That's excellent.
And more books, of course.
More books, of course. Now, every time, pretty much that I can remember, when you come out with a book, don't you do book readings and you set up book readings? You've done a few. You've done some at a few of my events.
Yes, I've done book reviews.
Do book readings.
Book readings at events with you and in the community.
You sure?
And I'm excited. I'm actually going to Rhode Island in June, and I'm going to be reading. I've confirmed one elementary school. My uncle's a teacher, and he said that I can go to his class. So hopefully I'll be able to read to 2 classes. And I want to make it fun. So I'm actually working on like a 30-minute, I don't know if curriculum is the right word, but I'm working on like a 30-minute agenda that I can present to the kids. Because the books take about 15 minutes, but I want to make it interactive. So I'm going to read Curly's Foam Bubbles and figure out how I can get the kids to participate. It's a kindergarten class, so far I've printed like some numbers, and I'm gonna have like the kids hold up the numbers, because there's a portion in the book where they count bubbles. Then we might do some sight words. So this is like really growing into something big. So it kind of ties into the question you asked me earlier. I don't even know I forgot that. So yeah, I would even love to be able to take these books into the classroom and
Indeed.
and
Because you know, and you and I have discussed this before. You know, they're not going to be babies forever. So do you? You know, you can't. Well, not that you can't, but you know, you don't. You may not want to still be writing Curly's, and Curly is now 17, 18. So being that it was based on their life, you ever thought about, you know, continuing that?
You just reminded me of something. I want to say this had to be like 88 or 89. Lived in Rhode Island with my grandmother, me and my mom. And my grandmother's from Alabama. And at 8 or 9 years old, I had the thought to record my grandmother's life. And we were going to do a book. But that, you know, life happened and time passed, and we never pursued it. So recently I said, Nana, do you remember when we sat down, we started writing your life? So one of the things on my agenda, and I actually was supposed to start this last year and I didn't, but me and my grandmother finally sat down, is I would love to do a documentary on her life, because she has had an amazing life, and it's important for me to hurry up and do it, because when we sat down, she started to she's forgetting a lot of the things that I remember. As our elders do.
Is why it's important we stay so close to them.
And honestly, Kevin, talking to you through these years has helped me to realize that, and that's why I want to be able to sit down and do this documentary. So hopefully it'll grow into something like that. So like you said, yeah, my kids are going to grow up, so what's going to be my content then? So my grandmother, I would love to do a documentary on her, and then I told my mom that she should write a book on her life, and I hope she doesn't kill me, but she had a title for it, and she said, if I were to write my life story, it would be 13 didn't define me, it refined me. And it's a very deep title, and like I said, my parents had me when they were young, so you guys can put 2 and 2 together. So that's where I will probably progress once my kids get older and there are no more Mommy or Mean and singing in church type content. Maybe focus on my family, and then other other adult issues. I've thought about doing a documentary on like black love, black relationships. I thought that would be cool. So yeah, the wheels are turning.
Maybe we can work together on that.
I think that would be dope. I think that would be real dope.
It will be, and it's needed.
It is.
It's needed. We have we're not valuing the relationship like we're supposed to. This is a hookup culture nowadays. And that's tough when, especially our generation, we're a love culture. That was sort of our culture, was actually, love, cuddling, Jodeci, that was our thing. But now, and I'm pretty sure it exists in some form in some arenas, but it's not promoted.
It's not
as much as it needs to be to continue the strength, of black love and the black family, and I wanted to do and focus in relationships, but also just black love in general, just so we could walk past each other and say good morning, brother, good morning, sister, and respect each other as just speaking and saying good morning.
I love that you said that, and the reason I love that you said that is, I'm sure you're familiar with the She's Gotta Have It series that was on Netflix. And there was that one scene where she was like, my name isn't, well, there was a scene where, and I'm paraphrasing, but say he was like, yo baby, and she got all upset, and as a woman I can kind of understand her being upset. I can relate to that as well. But this young lady in a YouTube video, she said, you can command respect, and it's all in how you respond. And that was so beautiful what she said. So when guys speak to me, I make sure I look them in the eye and I'm like, hey, how you doing? And I can tell, Kelvin, they're surprised, like, wow, she was pleasant and she was nice. So that's all it takes. So back to the point that you said, that black love, just as simple as how do you greet somebody, and if you don't like how they greet you, how do you command that respect, and how do you correct it?
That's right.
Instead of, because if you're nasty back, then it perpetuates and it creates that cycle where every time he sees a dude, well, she's gonna be nasty, so why am I gonna give her the respect? But you can change that state of mind.
And you can, and one thing is that you can be aggressively pleasant. So, as we know with catcalling, which has been a problem for a while, and especially within our community, with the yo baby or hey, whatever they're saying now, that woman can turn around and say, nobody will really ever respect you if you speak to me like that. And that may possibly change a dude's whole, and y'all have the ability to do that. And I'm not putting it on like saying it's your responsibility, like it's because some folks will take it that way, saying, hey, that's the woman's responsibility to keep the black. Nah, I'm not saying that,
But I think the way that you said it, though, you have that power.
Yes.
And that's not a bad thing.
That's not bad at all.
It's a good thing, and you should be able to own it and want to own it.
Own it. That's right. So, where do you want to be sitting to say, yes, my book reign is complete, accessories, isn't that the name of it? Accessories is up and running. What does that look like for you?
I'll be honest, I don't know yet, because I just got to the point where I'm confident in saying I'm proud of these books. These books are good, and I want to pursue this as a career. Right now, what I'm battling with is I believe in God, and I believe that God has a plan. And I feel like a hypocrite, right? Because even though I believe in God and I know that He has a plan, it's still scary for me taking that leap of faith, because I have a family that depends on me. So it's like, how do I navigate that, and how do I get to where I want to go? And part of it is I recognize I have to go outside of my comfort zone, because you get on me about this a lot, and I recognize I need to work on it. I don't know if introvert is the right word, but I'm just not because I can't even say I'm not a people person, but I have to learn how to get out there.
Well, see, yeah, and that's what I get. You see, you don't have to be a people person in a personal fashion. That's your choice, you know. But as it pertains to, you know, all the business we talk about and the moves we want, you have to, as we say, you have to come off the porch.
Right.
You got to get off the porch, you know, and to be able to do that, you got to put, hey, good morning, you know, and you have to go, you know, do that to get yourself out there, and also to make sure folks remember you.
Right.
You know, your trademark is the feeling you leave people when you walk away.
Well, this is a perfect example of that. So we had the holiday season at my job. They allow us to sell things that we make.
Right.
So my mom will come up there and she'll set up a booth for us. And the first time we did it, this guy that I work with, really, really nice, bought Curly's Foam Bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
And then he bought, so this year, this December that passed, I'm sorry, he went to the table and he bought We Play to Stay Awake.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was telling him about Mommy You're Mean. And so my mother came up and she was like, oh, I met somebody that you work with, and he told me that he bought one of your books, and I told him about Mommy You're Mean, and he was like, Sherry didn't even tell me she's writing another book.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came to my desk and he said, why didn't you tell me you were writing another book?
Right.
I didn't even know what to say.
I tell you did me the same way. You tried to say you told me. I was like, Sherry, you did not tell me you were writing another book. But you got to get better at that.
I have to get better. And I have to believe in myself, because if I don't, well, I can't even say who else is, because you have been your support. So I need to step it up. Yeah. I need to step it up and get out of my comfort zone.
It's coming, you know. It's not about who get there first. We're moving forward. It's about, you know, as long as you get there. So for people who want to purchase the books, people who want to book you for, you know, book readings, all the avenues they can get in contact with you, please.
Well, we have a website. It's Ellaccessories, ELLACESSOREEZ.com, or you can put in praypals.org, and that'll bring you to our website, and that has all of our products, and it also has our contact information. So
that's right, because y'all have more than just books.
Yes, we have books. We have the coloring and activity book. My mother has T-shirts, bubbles, the wraps. Oh yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff on the website. Like I said, my mother has always been an entrepreneur, and she's very creative. So we've got a lot.
And what about your social media for folks who want to follow you on your social media outlets? What are those?
Curly's Fun with Bubbles, and that has all our books. So that has Mommy You're Mean, and it has We Play to Stay Awake, and of course Curly's. And again, that's Facebook. And we also have Pray Pals on Facebook, and we also have Pray Pals YouTube page, where you can see videos of the kids actually like everyday learning and just the antics that they get into. And just some insight into how I get my inspiration. So YouTube is Pray Pals. Oh, and the books are available at createspace.com, Amazon.com, and BarnesandNoble.com, or our website. And if you want a signed copy, just contact us from our website and just put that specific information in there, and we can send you a signed copy of our books.
Sherry, I want to thank you for driving while black with me. I want to thank you for supporting me in the things I do as well.
Absolutely.
You know, I always got to thank you for that, even though, you know, we don't get to see each other as often because I'm not downtown anymore. But most definitely thank you for everything you support that I do.
Well, I love this concept, and I always tell you, I am so proud of you, and I love what you are doing for our people in the community. He don't just talk the talk, he walks the walk.
Well, I try to. Because, you know, I got to run into folks, so I can't just be on Facebook talking, and then y'all don't see me and we're doing anything. So
no, you do, because you took that idea for the grassroots and you ran with it, and that is a beautiful thing. So if you guys have not been, then you need to look forward to it this year in November.
And when you told me, when we first, you know, talked about it, and you was like, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. I put it together in 2 weeks.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
In 2 weeks, and we had a blast, you know, and it was memorable, and it's like...
You were already on your second?
Yeah.
Your second one. This
Yeah,
this
is
year
the
coming will
second
be
one.
your
This will
third.
be the third one. We're gonna make it so, and you're gonna be there. She's gonna be doing
I
book
will be
readings
there.
this year. So you guys make sure you go purchase her book.
And the other thing that is so important about what you do is the networking. I have met so many people from the Grassroots Economic Festival.
Yeah.
So
we have to connect with each other. You know, we have to connect with each other to see each other's lanes. We have to know what lanes we're in so that we can assist each other. So if it's not going to work any other way.
At the end of the day, it's all about wealth building, whether it's for me and my kids.
That's right.
Because if I start in home, then it'll go out into the community. And again, that's what you taught me is wealth building. And that is what the Economic Festival and everything that you do, that's what it's about.
That's why I try and stay focused in. So we're going to call you back up here and get you to do another interview after your next book, the fourth book now comes out, and we're going to check with you and get the name of that too.
I would love to, and I love this idea.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thanks, Kelvin.